Hi Scorpio, welcome to a weekly reading. I had a request for a few signs to do a reading, and this is my first time to read you, Scorpio, so I am super excited. Just keep in mind that this is a very overall reading, so it's not going to resonate for all of you. Also, they're timeless. I feel like all of my readings are timeless, so you can always come back to them if you wish to, or benefit from them anytime you want. You can, if you want a private reading, you can always connect with me at createharmonywithlove@gmail.com. Okay, Scorpio, so let's begin. I'd like to clarify that a lot of my connections and informations or messages come from my ancestors. I do get to see, what the cards look like, but ultimately it is through my heart center that I get to decide what to say. So in many cases, I have to translate all of that energy that comes to the heart, okay? And, just bear with me, be patient with me, because a lot of times it's just a matter of finding the right sentence in order for me to, express or say what I need to say. Okay, so this is a time right now where you're being guided to express your truth. It's like, it's time for you to really get wild and express who you are. This is not a time to hide your feeling. So let your wild side out. Unleash all of those talents and desires that you have. One of the things about Scorpio is that you are very intense and introverted. So a lot of times you don't necessarily express the things that you want or that you are because you're afraid of being judged. Not thinking that the only one that is judging you is yourself. A lot of times people are not really doing that, but we think that they are. So that sort of keeps you trapped in your own emotions. And now you're being asked to release that, to change that. So let go, open up, and trust the process, okay? So if you've been holding back in your hopes and dreams, this is the perfect opportunity for you to go after them. You're being encouraged to do that, okay? Don't also let, one of the things they're saying here is be careful who you listen to, okay? Ultimately, be careful who you listen to, and don't let anything or anyone get in the way of those dreams. Because a lot of times people come with their ideas and their understanding of life, and, in many cases, we tend to listen to those people. So don't be influenced by other people's limitation. Just go within. With the Hermit here, we're encouraged to go within, okay? And take some time for yourself and recharge the batteries, okay? Don't make decisions when you're exhausted. This is talking about that, being too busy. And then when you're exhausted, you're trying to, find the answers. A lot of times when we're tired, we tend to get caught up in the past. So here they're saying, hey, also make time for yourself, but don't do it only when you're exhausted. So recharge the batteries. Learn how to listen. So it's not always about asking. People, they say all the time, oh, I pray all the time. My mom tells me that. I pray all the time. And I always ask her, and do you listen after you pray? I don't think she gets it. So, we've been taught to pray, but we haven't been taught what we need to do in order to receive the answers. And keep in mind that intuition doesn't speak in the same way our mind does or our emotions. It speaks very differently. So, our ideas is the way our mind communicates, and our feelings is our heart. And we tend to confuse those sometimes. So it is only when we take time for ourselves that we're able to feel what our heart is really telling us. So at some point we have to make an adjustment. So as you are learning this time around how to express aspects of yourself that you probably would have never done before, you have to then come to terms that, oh, my mind may be telling me stories that are not very truthful or real. I may have beliefs that are not necessarily right. So you're being asked to change your way of thinking, okay? This is time to change your whole reality. And the only way that you can do that is not by trying to focus on old stories. Here you're being asked to just change your perception and look for those things that are a good role model of the things you want to accomplish. Does that make sense? Sometimes your mind can play games and your perceptions can be wrong. And you got to accept that. Sometimes the mind is just repeating same old ideas based on, limitations and things that happened a long time ago that are not really true. So here, you have to, you're at that point where you need to pay more attention to the way you think, because that could be the one thing that is getting in the way of your success. Okay, so that's one of the things that are being suggested at this moment, especially if what you do is you want to change your life. And the only way that we can recognize the new opportunities that are come our way is by changing our way of thinking. So when I look at your energy, Scorpio, I see you here with the Six of Pentacles, dealing with a situation or a change with someone that you really admire. We're also talking here about a triangle. And in that triangle, something happened. Somebody left, somebody walked away, somebody ended. You were not very good at juggling that situation. And that is now making you look back, especially towards this person here that you see as the Empress. Somebody who's very intuitive. She's coming across as a high priestess. A lot of intuition. So, you could not handle the situation very well, which in return made this person go through a death. So you are being left out in the cold. And although you would like to have a new opportunity, okay, have another chance, you do not know. And a lot of it, I believe, here with the Three of Pentacles, we have Three of Cups and Three of Pentacles, is that you don't know what you prefer. You have no idea. I mean, you sense that, the situation, and you can, sort of guess and intuitively know that you have two people in your life that you love, but you don't know what to do in this case and how to save this situation, how to fix it. In the meantime, here we see a person, right, moving on, and they didn't make a lot of fuss or announcement of why they left, but they did. And I'm going to tell you, this is not coming from a place of ego. This is not a temper tantrum. As a matter of fact, this was the best choice they made. Here with the Wheel of Fortune, they know. you know, the best thing for me to do is just let this go, because I know as the Empress, when she knows that it's time to let go, she sacrifices her emotions. Whatever it is that she needs to do, she'll do it, because she knows that ultimately her gain is going to be tripled. So they had to come to terms to this, you know, the reality of this relationship, of their connection, and they could see what was coming. So they made a choice. Yeah. Intuitively, they made a choice. And they decided to go on and find that cup somewhere else. Interesting, Scorpio. I hope this makes sense. Of course, you can reverse the situation. Maybe this is happening to you. But in the way that I'm picking it up here, is happening to you, Scorpio. You are playing. You're playing here, double whammy. But you know, I wouldn't be surprised, because you are that passionate. You know, a Scorpio, the organs associated with Scorpio is the reproductive organs. Did you guys know that? So, you know, you have a tendency to be very passionate, sexual, and ultimately, your relationships, you have to have that passion. It's important to you. If you don't have it, you don't feel right. It's like eventually something starts dying inside of you. It's like you start questioning the nature of the relationship, so you start feeling insecure. And you got to be honest with yourself, because if you're not receiving that type of support in your relationship, eventually you're going to have to come to terms with that. Either you start speaking your truth, or you're going to struggle. My ancestors here are definitely encouraging you to start speaking your truth. Now, if you are having some sort of hesitation of reconnecting with this person, or expressing your feelings, they're encouraging you that if this is someone who really matters to you, that to come true and to talk to them. Don't let your insecurities and those mental stories to get in your way. I mean, this is part of the initial message here. Of course, you know, you're afraid, you don't want to be rejected. And, you know, it's in your nature, you are not used to exposing your feelings. Scorpio people love mystery. And if, you know, they're the kind of, you know, the majority of the time, you don't really like to say a lot about yourself because you feel vulnerable. And that's something you do not like to feel. So you rather dwell in all of your insecurities than to really express how you feel. And this is when you can get a little bit of melodramatic, where, you know, you go into your head and you create a whole story, and then you make it as if that is exactly what's happening, where it has nothing to do with it. And that's why they're saying, you know, it's time to pay attention to your thoughts, because you may be telling yourself things that are not true. And please, you know, this is just, I'm not here judging you, I'm just here relating the message. So I hope, you know, I'm not here to press any buttons. So as you are going through this time of transformation right now, what's required is for you to go within, be clear about what you want, and once that shows up, once you feel that, and then it's learning how to express it with the people that you love instead of holding back. That's what your soul wants from you, to stop holding back, to stop listening to your mind stories and all of those, feelings of insecurity and whatever you've been holding on to. Remember, ultimately, no one here is judging you. You're the one who's judging yourself. So keep that in mind. And you're not very good at juggling things. They're also saying here that, you're working very hard and you're not very good and clear when you're exhausted. It is very difficult to see with clarity when we're tired. It is also difficult to be able to demonstrate to someone that we love when we're juggling two people. And as much as we can love two people, ultimately, if we're not good at demonstrating it, one of the relations dies, has to go away, or suffers. I don't know exactly what you did to this person to some degree to make them feel like they had to walk away, but all I can say is that it was the best thing for them and also for you. They made it very easy for you, Scorpio. You may not feel that way, but their choice and their decision made it very easy for you. So you should be feeling happy and good about yourself. You didn't have to deal with the aftermath. Now, if you're realizing that you care about them, and now not only did you lose the opportunity, but lost the entire relationship, and then that's what you need to come to terms with and figure out a way to either heal it or just move on. I'm hearing here also that it's also how you're learning to look within and find the things you value. This is forcing you to look at yourself. Also forcing you to find what truly matters to you. You have this concept of what is right, and yet, just because your mind thinks it's right, it doesn't mean that it's the right thing for you. So we're learning to find the balance between the things that we truly want to what we think is right. Does that make sense? Transparency keeps coming up. It's working at being comfortable with transparency. And, that begins within ourselves, right? When we start acknowledging who we are and accepting it. If you are a thief, and then accept that you're a thief and become a better one if that's what you choose. But if that's not what you want to do, and then the opportunity is there for you to change it. If you are ready to be in a relationship, but you would want an open relationship, and then accept that and be good at being, in a relationship with various people. But it's, there's a conflict when we have all of these ideas in our heads and then our heart is telling us differently. You know, our heads can be saying, yeah, I want to have an open relationship, when our heart is saying, you know, I just want one. I do feel that with the Hermit here, you will find the answers. Also, you're being told that don't linger on old stories. That keeps coming up. I don't know how many times I've repeated it, but it keeps coming up. Just shift your perception by focusing on things that make you feel good. And of course, through the intention of find clarity, you will be able to receive the answers to your questions and have the clarity you're seeking. You're not good at multitasking either. You're not good at multitasking. So if you think that having your hands in too many pies is the way to find, you know, an outlet to expressing the wild side of you, they're saying you're not very good at it. So that may not necessarily be the right way. Of course, I always say you have free will. So ultimately, the messages that are given here is up to you whether you want to use them or not. But, you know, there are suggestions here that definitely are supposed to help you. I do see, you know, you're dealing with somebody very intuitive. They use a lot of, it's like with Temperance here, we're talking about wanting to keep it peaceful. Taking the time to be honest with themselves and know what they want, and they felt that the best option was to just walk away. They didn't run away. So if you are, you know, contemplating the idea that they just avoided you and they, you know, were just sort of left you out in the cold. I mean, I don't know what kind of stories you're telling yourself, but I'm going to tell you that's not the intention behind this. So if there's no communication, and you might have tried to reach out and they didn't respond, it's not that they're ignoring you or avoiding you. There's something more. And if you really want to know what's there, you're going to have to change your attitude or your approach. You have to want to be ready to know why they did it. Not until then, you're going to just guesstimate. You're guesstimating. But the character of this person is not just to run away. That's just not how I'm picking them up. Okay, my dear Scorpio, I hope you like the reading. The best luck to you. Don't forget to love yourself. Let me know how you felt about the reading, and I will see you next time. Thank you for watching.